Welcome back to Wednesdays with the Esquire. We have a great series going here. Thank you so much for being with us, Keisha. Last week we talked a little bit about working with estates, and hey, it's just not as simple as what it sounds like. And I know everybody's in the haste and pace of this business. You got to get the listing, you got to get it on the market, et cetera, et cetera. The sellers are anxious because they know it's a booming market. Tell me what's going to happen on this. When I look through the public records today, I see so many properties that are being held by a trust.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm dealing with a trust, I got to be honest with you, as a real estate agent, I don't need them to know all the legal ramifications of the trust, why it was put into a trust, et cetera, et cetera. But I do need for them to know who they're dealing with. So even something as simple as filling out the listing agreement and the offer to purchase, how do I know who it is whose signatures I need?
Gotcha. So what I would love for our agents to have would be a trust certification. And that's usually a 1 or 2 page document that every trust should do when they sign their trust at the attorney's office.
Okay.
That lays out the trustee is this, the address of the trustee is this, the full name of the trust is this. It really gives you exactly what you need to list to buy anything for a trust. So that's what I would love for us to have. Worst case scenario, not worst case, but next best thing would just, the only thing you can really look at would be the deed, right? Because the deed's gonna say that the property went into John Doe, trustee of the so-and-so trust, and you're just gonna have to ask some follow-up questions of, have there been any changes to this trust? Are you no longer the trustee? Is there a co-trustee? And the attorney will then have to get some information to verify what you've told us, what your contract says. So I would start with, can we get a certificate of trust? If not, then let's get the deed and let's just ask some questions to make sure we've filled in the blanks.
Okay, and at some point, I want to sit down with you and I literally want to fill out the offer to purchase. But if you're dealing with a trust, let's say that it's being held in the name, it's the Arnette, give me an example of what the name of the trust would be.
Arnette Revocable Living Trust.
Okay, how do I write the seller's name? Arnette Revocable Trust, and Chris Arnette is the trustee. How do I write that in?
Oh, the seller? So, I mean, you could put Arnette Revocable Living, well, I'd go ahead and put your name. So Chris Arnette, trustee of the Arnette Revocable Living Trust. Okay. So that then I know who is signing that signature space. So if I can't read your signature, I would know who that would be. It would be Chris Arnette signing the trust. You don't have to write out trustee of the Arnette Living Trust for the signature. You don't have to do anything else.
I'm saying, so in the line where it says seller, we're putting that in there, and that identifies to you, this is who signed it, this is what it is, and then we also have the ancillary documents from research showing that the trust is legitimate. Okay,
exactly.
Okay. I did not prepare you for this, but if you don't mind answering this question simply, and if it's appropriate for another video, you can say, well, let's just come back and talk about this at another time.
Yeah.
What would be the most common reason why a person might put property into a trust today? What's the most common that you see?
A lot of times they're trying to hide their identity. So that's one of the biggest reasons to put property in a trust, if you want to shield your identity. Liability, estate purposes would be probably the #1 reason, estate planning purposes.
Okay.
You don't want your property to go through your estate, you want it to just go into the trust. Biggest problem we see with that is people forget to put the property in their trust. So you do the trust, but you never deed the property to the trust.
Interesting. I will ask you to come back another time and let's do a whole class on trust and why and where for all this, because I think it's great for my knowledge base to know that. But for right now, our goal today was just simply, hey, when you run into a trust, a basic check to make sure that the person you're dealing with, it is recorded, it is documented, you know that you're getting the correct signatures, write it in such a way so that the attorney is put on notice that this is the person in the trust that I'm dealing with. And it sounds like we can make that much more simple.
Yeah, and prepare your seller to know that we'll be asking for the certificate of trust and probably the full trust. If you don't have that, we need the full documentation. So prepare them if that is
ideally they should have that information.
They should definitely have that.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Thanks again for that. Perfect.